every collection starts somewhere. In this video, I'm going to show you the first versions that I ever obtained, which to some people might be, enough. But as time went on, interests and tastes changed. And of course, we, as book fans, Tolkien fans, or book collectors, or any of all three, want more. So I'm going to show you the first ones I ever got, starting with The Hobbit. This one here is actually not the first copy of The Hobbit I got. My very first ever Tolkien book was a paperback copy of The Hobbit, which was black, that my father currently has. It's his collection now, but I wanted something nicer sometime after I read it, and because I wanted something in hardcover primarily. So this version here, by the way, all these are hardcovers. So this copy, I'll just show you. Here's the front. There's the back. And there's the spine. And because I guess this is a young reader's version or something, underneath it has the exact same imagery on the book itself that we see on the dust jacket. Oh, that's just a little note. Okay, here's our title page. Now this one is unique in a sense in that it has black and white chapter artwork by David Wyatt, who is not credited, oops, that went there, on this title page, but is so on the copyright page. This is the only hardcover version which offers his sketches for the chapter artwork. Sorry. There we are. His artwork is seen primarily in paperback versions. So, right at the front, we don't have any maps, but a few pages in, we have a colorless version of Thror's map, and I believe at the back, it's the same, but for Wilderland. And we also have a preview for the first chapter of The Lord of the Rings. Perhaps it is in the book, but before this preview starts. So, still part of The Hobbit, per se, but not at the end of the book. Like at the end of the physical book. Yes, we do. We do have the map of Wilderland, which is colorless. Very basic. But as we flip through, I'll just show a couple, if I can. So yeah, David Wyatt, these imagery, Riddles in the Dark. There's a really neat one of Gollum. See if I can find it without missing it. Yeah, there we are there. And this is a glued hardcover, which I've had since about 2002-ish or so. And I've read it a couple times since. I mean, I got this before I was aware of taking care of books, or I understood that they're meant to be treated well. This is probably the last book I got before I started paying attention to how I read them and the condition that I keep them in, kind of thing. So it's a little rough. It's still good, but because it's glued and it's, close to 25 years old, you still get the nice, lovely cracks and whatever. A nice used copy by this point. And the reason being is because I got this. This is my first ever copy of The Lord of the Rings. I wanted The Hobbit in hardcover. At that time, I didn't really know about matching books, like different formats, whatever. So as we can see, these do not match at all in the slightest. But they do match in the sense that they're hardcovers. And for me, the main thing was, well, all of the Lord of the Rings matches with itself. Like, I don't have one copy of the Fellowship of the Ring, and then the Two Towers is a different one, and Return of the King is a different one of those. So, yeah. So this is the one-book version that has no artwork in it, but the cover is by John Howe. So here's the front. Here's the rear, and there's the spine. And this one is maybe sewn, perhaps. So we peel back the dust jacket. Nothing there. Very plain, but still nice. And in terms of maps, because this is an older style, they all appear at the very end of the book in quadrants. See, it goes maps. Then you get this. And then detailing like that, like the old style of how they were presented before, you know, they started to have them on the inside covers or fold out sheets or whatever. Let's see here, one book version. Please note that this list of books by Tolkien ends with the War of the Jewels. And here's the copyright info. And I got this pretty much for Christmas in December 2001 because I wanted, after seeing the Fellowship of the Ring movie, I wanted the Lord of the Rings in hardcover. I had the option of getting this all-in-one version as hardcover and getting more presents, or getting a hardcover box set, which costs more, and getting fewer presents. Because I was just dabbing my toes into Tolkien, I went for this, given the choice. You know, not to sound selfish or anything like that, but at that age, I wanted, you know, not to sound greedy, but if you have the opportunity to get more gifts, of course you take it. And, you know, I haven't read a lot of large books, and as we can see from the table of contents, it's broken down. So it looks big, it looks thick, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 appendices, indexes, maps and such. So everything is in there, but it's the size of it that seemed daunting. But it's actually not that big or long. Physically, the book is large, but it's broken down so it doesn't feel long or continuous. Okay, next we have the Silmarillion. I explained how or why I got this version, but I just wanted to showcase it here because it was the first copy of the book I ever got. As you saw, by way of the illustrated versions, I keep this with them. But over time, as I got more random or assorted illustrated copies, I decided to shelf this with them instead of with these guys here. This copy was found often with these on my bookshelf until the past, let's say 10 years or so, maybe 5 to 10 years. So yeah, I already did a video on this for sake of runtime. I won't elaborate further on it, but as you can see, it's a nice, lovely copy of the Silmarillion, illustrated by Ted Nasmith. Pretty sure it's sewn, and it's larger. It's about the same size as the Alan Lee Hobbit, but not as long or deep, so to speak, but as equally as high. Now, the last one I'm going to go into is when I started collecting Tolkien books. One of the reasons why I got this copy of The Lord of the Rings and this copy of The Hobbit later on is because there was something called the Collins Modern Classics paperback box set, which included The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings featured cover art by John Howe, and The Hobbit featured that lovely image of Bilbo and Smaug by David Wyatt, while I wanted the hardcover counterparts. So here, you know, inside The Hobbit, we have David Wyatt's chapter art, and it's basically the same thing, but as a hardcover. And this is a hardcover that features John Howe's Gandalf on the front, who did the artwork for the paperback box set that I saw and liked. Sometime later, when I started getting more involved with Tolkien, I discovered that of the Collins Modern Classics, there was also Farmer Giles of Ham. And this one is somewhat sort of a cheat, so to speak. I wanted a hardcover version of the paperback that was offered, you know, 50th anniversary, whatever, that had the stuff by Hammond and Skull included in it. However, it was out of print by HarperCollins, and I thought it was out of print for good. When William Morrow started printing Tolkien books in the US, they also reprinted some of the ones that Houghton Mifflin was initially printing. I was not aware that this was still in print from another publisher. Again, an instance of what I said, when the same book is the exact same or very close to it between the UK and the US publishers. You know, sometimes one goes out of print by one and you can still obtain it by the other. So here is, I obtained this about 2 or 3 years ago, Farmer Giles of Ham, printed by William Morrow, or reprinted, originally printed by Houghton Mifflin, as they are the US publisher, but this also existed by HarperCollins, but that one is long out of print. I didn't pay a lot for this. I got it brand new, not through a marketplace or anything like that, but let's have a peek. So here's the front, and there's the rear, and the spine. And then we take away the dust jacket, and it's very plain. Texture paper, it feels very smooth, very glossy, not like cloth or textured like other hardcovers do. And it's missing the emblem on the cover, which is fine given the price that I paid. There's a spine there. And I'm pretty sure this is glued. It seems to be, but given the size of the book, that's totally a non-issue. So there's our title page. And it says William Morrow, not HarperCollins, like some of them might say. And this is a 28th printing. I don't know how to read US publishing copyright lines for Tolkien books in the US versus the UK. And there it is there. And our contents. Plus, it's I typically don't like small hardcovers because I find there's more dust jacket than book, if that makes sense. But this one is about as small as I would like to get in a hardcover format, if that makes sense. So again, I felt really glad when I was able to get hardcover versions of what was essentially offered in the Collins Modern Classics paperbacks for younger readers. For The Lord of the Rings, the Collins reader was 3 books rather than 1, but I wanted to get the whole, I guess you could call it, higher end version of John Howe's covers. So yeah, so that's it. This is the first versions of the Tolkien books that I ever obtained. And like I said, I wanted to add a footnote with including Farmer Giles here, because if I knew about it when I was getting these, I probably would have gone for this by HarperCollins at the same time. So I felt very lucky that I was able to get this particular copy, even though it's by another publisher and it's a much later printing, but still. Okay, I believe I have one more Tolkien video up my sleeve, but for now, I'm pretty sure this is it for my books. If I get more, or if